Hey, Steve Livingston here. Today is 26th of June. It's Thursday. Can't believe time is flying at the moment. Been busy today. A lot of EIS stuff, SES EIS. If you're a founder of a UK company and you're looking to either start up or a scale up, you've got to be aware of the SES and EIS tax reliefs. They're so generous. I've got a load of stuff. I won't go into too much detail now, but I've got loads of stuff on this channel, or if you dig around. SES stands for Seed Enterprise Investment Scheme and EIS stands for Enterprise Investment Scheme. And what they basically look to do is look to incentivize individuals to put money into companies like yours. There's a bunch of kind of conditions to go through. I won't go through them now, but basically if you're a scale-up company looking to grow into some sort of brand and something, whatever, it can be across pretty much any sector. There are a few excluded activities, but not that many that affect most companies. But what it really does is it incentivizes. How does it incentivize investors? Well, it gives them massive tax reliefs. So SES, 50% income tax relief on an investment, and EIS is 30% income tax relief. So what does that mean? You put 100 grand into your limited company because I think it's going to go absolutely brilliantly and I want to invest in the shares in the company. It's got to be investment for shares. I put 100 grand in and I get 50 grand income tax relief back. Brilliant. In fact, we've got one client. I'm not sure if it's quite intended this way, but his kind of methodology is going, right, okay, so here you go, put 100 grand into my company. The person puts the investor puts 100 grand in. Brilliant. They put the tax certificate thing, I'll come to that in a moment, gets the 50 grand back from HMRC, and then they say, right, that 50 grand he's got back from HMRC, invest that in, and we'll get you 25 grand back. Okay, 50 grand goes in, 25 grand back. And then you can see where this is going. Put that 25 grand in, 12.5 back, tax relief. Put that 12.5 grand in, 250 back. And it goes and goes. It's almost like the Russian dolls thing. I don't know. I think he's on his second round of doing that with a couple of investors. They seem willing to do it, which is fair enough. They're obviously very keen on the project. Not quite sure how that's intended. I think most people I see, investors tend to spread it across a bunch of investors, a bunch of investments, I should say. So, like 10 companies you invest in and, you're hoping one flies, 2 or 3 might just sort of toddle along okay, and 5 or 6 will probably fail. But if you kind of spread your risk on that basis, so a lot of people seem to work it. But anyway, yes, so SES, huge area, huge relief. And the other sort of thing I didn't mention, the sort of real kicker as well, that they get in terms of tax relief, the investors, is all goes swimmingly well. You sell your company and you've got hats in the air. They get to sell theirs capital gains tax free, whereas unfortunately you as a founder, unless you've managed to engineer it such that you can get SES and EIS too, kind of work in certain conditions, scenarios, then you have to pay entrepreneurs relief, which has been whittled away at the moment, whittled away I should say. So that's one thing to watch out for. As I say, if you found it, please educate yourself on it in the UK. You've got to know about it. It's so important, and it's such a good relief. Working on today, a lot of companies I'm finding tend to forget to do the SH01 forms, SH01 forms, I should say. And that's basically where you issue shares in your company. As I say, you have to do that under SES and EIS. You're meant to go to company's house and say, right, okay, so we've issued this number of shares for this price, and you just register the form at company's house. You're meant to do it in 30 days, although they don't really apply any penalties, such that I rock up a company, client advising the client, SES, it's a bit structuring around that, and then it's like, how can you go back? So let's say once you've issued the shares, you've got the cash in, you've issued the shares, a bit further down the line, you'd have to go back to HMRC again and fill out what's called SES1 and or EIS1 form, whichever you're claiming under. It could be either or both. You need to go back to HMRC and apply for the tax certificates to the investors, such that they can then claim the tax relief, that 50% I was talking about before, I think, or 30% for EIS. So when you're doing that, you've got to fill out again, Joe Blogs, put this amount of money in for this number of shares, etc., etc. And what you ideally want to happen is you want that to match up with what's on company's house, such that if HMRC do want to do a bit more of a route around on your particular application, they can, they want to go, right, let's look at that. Yes, it matches. I can see a share issue on that date. You put the share issue date was 5th of March 2025. Go to the company's house, SH01 form, 5th of March 2025, same number of shares, tick, tick, tick. It's all matching up, as opposed to them going to a company's house that's not there, and it makes them start head scratching, asking questions. So all the ones I work on, we always make sure it's all in place before we apply. So I'm not sure if HMRC do come back and say, where is it on company's house? They may not, I don't know, but I always say, like belt and braces, you want to get all these things sort of straightened out God, it's boiling in here. So that's what you want to be looking to do. And I said that's been a day of doing that largely today. So I've got 2 or 3 at the moment I'm working on where we're doing the EIS1 forms for clients and getting all that straightened out and making sure company's house is all straight. And that's kind of all part of the service really, to make sure, I say, it all stacks up as tickety-boo. So yeah, that's been the theme of the day. Loads of other stuff on as well around R&D and stuff as well, and year ends for companies and blah blah blah. But key message for this is, if you are a startup or a scale-up company, don't ignore those 2 tax reliefs, because they're really, really generous. And when at a time when funding is quite difficult in some cases, and loans, banks, etc., it works great this if you can get, not only to get an investor who's got the cash, but you get an investor who's perhaps a high net worth individual who's had a liquidation event themselves, has sold their company, they've made a bunch of money, they want to hopefully help other companies, other founders who've been in their shoes. They kind of sympathise with you, and secondly, want some tax relief, and want somewhere to put their cash, somewhere where they're going to get some sort of tax shelter as well. Because when you sort of add up all the various sort of tax reliefs within SEIS and EIS, it's a big shelter to get on their investment. So it's the ideal scenario is you get somebody with the cash who's also got the experience and perhaps open doors for you as well, because quite a lot of these high net worths who are looking at SEIS and EIS investments have been around the block themselves, and they might have been in your industry. It can open doors for you, can be maybe a non-exec or something with you, and work together as a business angel and really helping you grow your business. So it doesn't have to be just the cash. You'll get some are just purely passive and they don't want to kind of get involved in the business, but others really do. So look out for that as well, because that's the best of both worlds in that case. You get an experience, the opening of doors and the cash, so everyone's happy. So yeah, that's our ideal scenario. Looking out for that. But I've got to get on now, so that's all for today. Quick catch up, check in, and yeah, see you soon. Cheers, bye.